Hello and welcome to another mini episode of Unmute where we are celebrating Week Here Week. These episodes are the small package to good things coming. And today, one of the topics that we want to be focusing on is nutrition. We want to be talking about the benefits of nutrition to your mental health, but also why it's so important. And for that conversation, I am delighted today to be joined by Adrian Russell. So, Adrian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me, James. So my name is Adrian Russell, and I'm a well-being lead here at Concentrics. I've been with Concentric for almost 2 years, and I have a background in preventative healthcare. I have a background in psychology, and I'm also a certified wellness coach. And I'm really, really passionate about good quality nutrition and making sure we're um, eating healthy and the connection between eating healthy and our mental.
Amazing, amazing. And these episodes are designed to educate our listeners. And for this specific one, I'm also hoping to learn myself. I'm going to hold my hands up and be one of those people that I know that I should do better when it comes to my diet, but I've got very little willpower in regards to saying no to the salty, unhealthy snacks. And I blame it down to a lack of education. I don't understand maybe the links between nutrition and my mental health. So hopefully I'm going to learn along the way today as well. Um, but just before we get into that sort of educational side of it, then and learning the importance of it, just in a broad way, would you be able to explain the importance between nutrition and one's mental health?
Yes, absolutely. And I think when it comes on to nutrition and mental health, the connection is crystal clear. I think those days where you sort of feel a little bit sluggish and you feel it's really hard to get to the task that you have planned out for the day. Maybe you have a little bit of sweet or a little bit of jolt of caffeine, and your mood, your energy just sort of shifts dramatically and it changes, right? And you recognize that difference within yourself. And, I usually use that as an analogy to say that's one of the clear signs of how our nutrition impacts our mental health. But to put it even more specifically, the food we consume can have some really significant impact on our mental health. So, for example, things like omega-3 fatty acids found in food like fatty fish and flax seeds have been shown to support brain health and mood stability. And so the food that we eat can have a significant impact on our moods, how we feel throughout the day, and overall long-term mental health, and prevent things like even just some significant mood swings.
Mm. I'm really pleased as well that you mentioned energy. That for me is the first indicator that I've maybe not had a good breakfast or lunch during my work specifically. And because of our job roles where we all sat down for a lot of period in the time, but at a desk behind our computer screen, energy levels are crucial. But before we started recording here, I did some self-reflecting of my own, and I started to think that's not the only symptom that I have when I'm not being taking care of my diet. Because if I've got a lack of energy, my productivity goes down, and when my productivity goes down, my self-esteem goes down, and I feel like I'm not adding enough worth to the team. And
No, absolutely. And you're right. And it's very, very easy to choose something that is high in sugar, something that is, really gonna be quick to consume because, let's be honest, we're all very busy and, with professional life, personal life. It's easy to go for the quick and easy stuff that's usually higher in sugar, higher in saturated fat, and higher in just those things that are going to make us feel good, a quick turnaround in energy and quick turnaround in those feel good hormones. But in the long term, it's causing health to deteriorate. And, it's the energy that we do gain is not going to be long term or sustainable. So, making and let's be honest, again, too, it's easy sometimes to say, like, choose something healthier, but it's harder to actually implement. But when we make healthier choices and more conscious for it, and when we bring it to mind even, and bring that old concept of mindfully choosing what we're eating each and every time, the odds of us choosing that sugary drink is going to be much less. We don't need to be perfect, but even if we're choosing, one less sugary drink in a day, I think that is success for us
Yes.
when we bring it to mind, bring it into that mindfulness realm of eating.
What advice would you have for some dietary choices that I could be having that would improve my mental well-being? Maybe like substitutes for a bag of chips, for example.
Yeah, no, I think some specific ways I would say to make some adjustments to your diet and start eating a little bit more healthier is practice mindful eating. I mentioned this earlier, but we want to make sure when we start putting food into our body, we're aware and we're not just picking stuff up and 30 minutes later we don't know what we started with. So we want to make sure whatever we're putting into our bodies, we're very clear. Okay, this is what's on my plate, and this is why I'm eating. So, you know, s- practicing mindful eating might sound like something uh, that's going to take a lot of time, but all you may need to do is just really start by being present. So maybe smelling, trying to taste your food, and really observe how that can also observe how you feel when you eat certain types of food. Another thing to make mindful eating more practical for you is making sure you're eating with like others, and so if it's a lunchtime, you can eat with a friend or a coworker, or you can have a conversation. Oftentimes you get to talk a little bit about the food you're eating. So I think that's one way with just being more mindful. And another thing too is, when you oftentimes we don't think about hydration throughout the day, but if we're drinking enough water, that is usually one of the best ways to start um, improving our overall food intake. So making sure we're hydrating throughout the day, things like fatigue, headaches, and difficulty concentrating, you will be surprised at how those decrease and the other symptoms of a poor diet decrease when you start drinking more water and hydrating better throughout the day.
Mm. That's such a good perspective to have on it. I love as well what you said about being more mindful. 'Cause I remember for me, around 6 months ago or so, I really wanted to improve my diet because I was feeling like lethargic almost every single day, and I fell into a vicious cycle of I needed another cup of coffee to wake me up, even more so because I'm having a caffeine crash from that second cup I've already had, and it was really not in a good way. And I tried to focus on two things. First, the enjoyment of food, and I actually wanted to designate more time to cooking in the evening so it didn't come across as a chore, and instead it was a really fulfilling practice I was doing. That was game changing for me. I was then really enjoying what I had created myself, and I was putting more thought into the ingredients that were going into it and being a bit more experimental and just having fun with the entire process. And I feel like that's kind of linked to the mindfulness that you were saying. But then also the hydration. I now start my day with a glass of water rather than a cup of coffee. And it's night and day the difference between how it used to be and how it is now. How can listeners then start incorporating better nutrition into their daily lives?
Great question. And for our listeners that are out there and they have so much going on and feel like you have so little time to dedicate to your nutrition, just first of all, know that you're not alone. And I'm here talking, and I'm not perfect in any way. Um, but I would say one of the first thing is recognize that you're not alone, and then see what small actions you can take. Maybe it's not even making any drastic changes to the food and the actual thing that's on content of what's on your plate, but rather maybe it's starting off with tracking your meals. This for me is also a game changer because remember one of the themes and what I'm saying is if we bring more awareness to what we're eating, then we can make some adjustments. So I would say for listeners, if we can start tracking your meals this week, and I know for everyone it may be different. Maybe you recognize I'm not drinking any water, and then I can have water. And I think this second tip that I have really made a huge change for me personally. And I would say adding just two more fruits and veggies at each meal.
Mhm.
So it doesn't need to be yet again any dramatic change, but when you start adding more fruits and veggies to your meal, this can significantly help reduce your cravings. And when we have less cravings and less things dragging us to go and eat, this is going to help increase our energy and improve our energy on a whole and reduce our mood fluctuation. So I think more fruits and vegetables at each meal is something that we can all do.
Well, listen, that's amazing advice. I was actually making notes of it as you were talking, because like I said, I want to learn as well. So for listeners out there, just exactly like Adrian said earlier, you are not alone if you feel like you need to improve your diet. I am right there with you. But listen, Adrian, thank you so much. Yeah, for coming on the show and offering your insights and expertise on it. Like I said, I was being a little bit selfish because I was hoping to gain some insights from this myself, and I absolutely have done. And I did tell you before we started recording that I had what I thought was quite a good pun, so I'm going to use it at this point. So for this mini episode, this is what I'm going to call a bite-sized episode that hopefully leaves you hungry for more. What do you think?
That's first of all, that's an amazing pun.